Let's make a pumpkin box. Hi, and welcome to my craft room. My name is Kelsey, and today we are making a pumpkin box for fall. This is a super quick project. It's great for like a Thanksgiving class feast, I guess you would call it, or for your fall party. It's a really quick gift box to put together. It goes together quick in Cricut Design Space, and then the assembly is just as fast. If you are new to my channel, you can find the link below to the blog post and also the free SVG download. Let's jump over into Cricut Design Space. So this setup over here in Cricut Design Space is relatively quick. The first thing you're going to want to do, I just zoomed out here, is you are going to want to resize before you ungroup anything. And so I'm just using the side panel. Make sure you're resizing the whole file if you do choose to resize. To get an idea of how big the box is going to be, you'll go based off of this pumpkin or the top of the pumpkin, and that will give you an idea. Just keep in mind the actual box inside is going to be about a ½ inch, maybe a little less inside. So that means on the sides it says it's 4.7, right? I'm going to resize it to 5.1. That means that the actual inside of the box is going to be around that 4.7 wide, maybe a little bit bigger. And then tall wise, not the height of the actual box, but from the top of the pumpkin to the bottom of the pumpkin is going to be about 3.1, 3.2. It's just going to be a little bit smaller because the outside of the box does not go to the outside of the whole pumpkin. So just keep that in mind, it will be a little bit smaller. From there, you're gonna ungroup everything, and all these little lines, I'm just holding command with my Mac, and I am going to grab all those and change them to score lines. If you do not have a scoring stylus, you can just delete these or hide them. And then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna make sure to attach them all to the proper piece. You have to make sure you attach, or it will not send it over to the proper mat. It will just score a blank mat. So you have to make sure you are attaching all of your score lines always. Once you have everything in the place that you need it to be, the size you want it to be, I'm just gonna change my color of my top of my box and my bottom of my box, and then I'm gonna hit make it. And you of course can move things around on your mats so that you're maximizing your paper. I really wish Cricut would come up with a way to do this themselves, however they haven't. And now we are going to cut this out. I like using the medium cardstock setting in fast mode. I'm using an 80-pound cardstock. However, this will totally depend on your machine and your blades, how sharp they are, all of that. So once you have everything ready to go ahead and cut, and we can jump right over into our assembly. So to start, I am just going to pull everything off. I like to pull my paper away from my mat so that way I avoid curling. And I'm going to start with the shorter of the two panel sides. So the shorter ones are going to be the top, and the larger ones, the taller ones, are going to be the bottom piece. So the shorter ones, you're just going to start by gluing those flaps on the side together. They do not have score lines, and that's because we want to keep a round shape. The top and the bottom are different sizes, but it's so slight you probably won't even notice by eye. The bottom is slightly smaller, but honestly, at the end of the day, it's so tiny you won't even notice. So I'm gluing together those side panels with a little bit of my craft glue. All of my materials and tools will be linked in that blog post below in the description. That's also where you download this free SVG file. And then I'm folding in on all these little side pieces where there are score lines, and that is how we are going to attach it to the top piece. So keep that in mind. You're gonna wanna fold all these in. I'm trying to keep them as flat as possible. You can use a bone tool if you want. And then you're folding them in and then gluing it kind of like a circle or an oval, because remember, this is not like a square box. It is going to be more of a round box, and it's not going to fit perfectly around that pumpkin. We don't need to worry about that. So once it is dry, we're going to put glue on top of those flaps that we just folded down that you see right now. And that is how we are going to attach it to the pumpkin. Now, I suggest you starting with the top because it is shorter. And when we make the bottom, you're going to use that piece that we've already assembled kind of as your guide to make the shape for the bottom part. So here is our top. Again, I'm making it kind of like an oval. So obviously I do want these pieces to fit onto that pumpkin. And I'm stretching out the sides, and then the top and bottom of the pumpkin are gonna be a little bit, you know, shorter like an oval. And then I'm using my fingers to stick down those flaps. And so once this is dried, we can do the same steps for our bottom. So here we go with our bottom. Again, I'm going to make my side panels first. And so I am attaching them. Again, there's no score line on that side panel. I'm just attaching it on the inside, and then I'm gonna wrap it around and make the oval again, and then fold in on all of those score lines. So same exact steps in this piece. So once you have your side panels assembled, you're going to want to grab that top and slide the bottom to the inside of the top. So it'll give you the shape so that they stay the same shape. Now I'm going to add my glue onto those panels as well. And I'm going to lightly press it down, but I'm trying to keep the shape as much as possible. That is my biggest goal right now. And allow it to dry just a little bit before you pull the top off and start pressing down. So you want to get the shape as much as possible. And then once it's dried, you can slide it back into the top and then flip it back over. Now I like having the top being the shorter side. I think that's pretty usual for boxes. So I'm gonna flip it over and start assembling my pumpkin details on the other side. So here I am just placing all of our pieces on, and then I'm going to glue them down with my craft glue. So nothing really crazy here. I did use textured paper, so I'm making sure the texture is, because some textured paper, it's dual-sided, so one side's textured, one's not. Just making sure the texture is facing up, and I'm gluing everything down. And then I do provide you with 2 stems. I put my stems on the same side, so it's up to you how you place it. I kind of just like place them back to back on the top of the pumpkin. You can kind of see where it fits in. And I did have to put it in just a little bit to where the side of the box was, but it held on really nice. And I did this with the 2 pieces back to back on the top just for a little bit of stabilization. And here is your final pumpkin box. I hope you enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for joining me as we made this pumpkin box. If you enjoyed this project, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It helps me so much. And if you are into crafty things, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with my latest projects. And if you are so inclined, please share it with one of your crafty friends if they think that they would enjoy it as well. Stay crafty!